Hey, Frontline fans, welcome back to Comic Frontline. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do that all important comic book review so you, the fans, can make a decision on what comic books to buy. And there was a lot of great comics that were released this week. So look forward to some heavy hitter comics being reviewed here on Comic Frontline, guys. But the first one we're going to talk about is a lot of people's highly anticipated book, which is Spider-Verse issue number 1. Yeah, this book, I didn't even realize it, but it features 6 separate stories in the Spider-Verse universe. So I sat there and said, okay, well, this is a $4.99 book, and they're plugging in 6 stories. So how good a quality are these stories are? Is it not going to be enough to create a good story? I was kind of hesitant about it, once I read that little caption there, because I didn't even realize it. I thought it had to do with the whole main story, but it's just little stories that dive into the whole Spider-Verse reality, and that's what they're trying to get the reader to do, is go into these different alternate universes that Spider-Man exists. So first off, the first story is done by, I think it was called, Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos, and it's Enter the Spider-Verse. And you can see it's like the Web of Life, the paneling in there, and it goes into detail about Peter Parker and Uncle Ben going into the experiment of the spider bite, and then it goes into the Master Weaver here, and basically, that's kind of a story. So when I was introduced to that, I was kind of like, wow, they consider that a story, just throwing in a whole bunch of Spider-Men and this is their Spider-Verse. But I was like, okay, whatever. But as you read, the stories get better as the issue progresses. You get this one story called Spider Clan, The Many, and it has to do with Peter in this like samurai world, and he fights his brother Venom. So this book with this story was written by Scotty Young in here. You can tell kind of by the artwork, which was bright and colorful, but I wasn't there was nothing here that really captured me with this particular story. So at this point, while I was reading it, I was a little bit disappointed, to tell you the truth. I was kind of like expecting this epic story, and I'm just like, this is something that I've already seen on the Edge of Spider-Verse, because by the time you get to the end of it, you get the Spider-Man that actually recruit this Spider-Man to stop Moreland. So I was kind of disappointed after that first story. Then you get this other story that has to do with Earth 803. And it has to do with this back in the, I'm trying to remember the year, 1895, that's right. And it has to do with this female, I think her name is Lady May Riley, and she's basically the Spider-Woman in this universe. And we get to see her meet and have relations with Harry Osborn in this, or Norman Osborn, and we get to find out that they throw in different types of villains in here, like the Sinister Six. They throw in Electro, and they throw in the Vulture and Kraven, and you can see them all kind of here. Without that glare, sorry about that. So it was an interesting story to see these villains that we've known for all these years thrown into like this golden era, this time, this timeline. But it was interesting, and it was cool to see the Lady Spider, that's what she calls herself, look like this. It's kind of like a it's kind of like an Iron Spider type of costume. So it was okay, So at this point, I'm halfway through this book, and honestly, I'm sitting there going, okay, this is really not that. It's not worth my $4.99. So again, as the issue progresses, we get another story here that has to do with Spider-Man and Tasty Cakes, or these golden cakes. If you guys remember comics from the 80s, they always had this ad inserted into them with Hostess cakes. And this was a cool little story here that had Merlin in there eating these Hostess cakes. And I thought that was funny. It was kind of a good throwback thing. And that was written by Dan Slott. Then you probably get the best story of them all, and it has to do with this not Peter Parker here, but Penelope Parker, otherwise known as Penny. And you get to see her get her spider powers for the first time and how she handles them, and how she deals with her friends being around her, with her having these powers, and trying to come to realization, what should she do with these powers. So I thought this particular story was pretty good. It was a little bit lengthy, had enough there to tell where it was really enjoyable, and Penny kind of looks like this in the end. So it was cute. Then at the end, you get this one little funny story in here that has to do with the comic strips back in the day when Spider-Man was in the newspaper. And you can see here that when you read it, it says Spider-Man, and it says by Slott, Grummett, and Palmer. And then it goes to the next strip, and the next strip, and the next strip. So technically it's like 4 or 8 different strips. And the story like really never progresses. And Moreland gets frustrated because he's in this timeline and he's getting nothing accomplished. Kind of like how these comics were back in the day, because there's just only like 2 panels to 3 panels. So it was kind of comical there. But overall, I thought, with a mix of all these different writers and the artwork, I thought it was a good issue. I wouldn't say it's the best issue. I wouldn't even say that you have to buy it to follow Spider-Verse whatsoever. It's kind of more of what we've been getting about all these different Spider-Men dealing with their timelines. So really what Marvel's trying to do is immerse the reader into Spider-Verse, which if you're a huge Spider-Man fan, you're going to enjoy it. But even I, as a hardcore Spider-Man fan, I liked it, but it had none of the Spider-Men that I was familiar with, and they were creating different types, which was original, but it didn't like blow my mind, which I was expecting here. I was expecting another 5-star book, or really had to tie into the whole Spider-Verse story, which it really didn't. So after reading it, at first I was going to give it a 3, but then the last couple of stories had me laughing a little bit, and I had some fun with it. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. For me, not worth the $5 here. But if you're a Spider-Man fan and you're a completionist and you want to, kind of read everything that Spider-Verse has to offer, well, then you're going to want to pick it up. So guys, leave me your comments below what you thought of this particular issue. Did you feel a little bit robbed or misled with this particular issue? And guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. And until the next comic book review, why don't you check out our website, comicfrontline.com, and our sister website called comicrelated.com for all kinds of comic news, reviews, podcasts, and a whole lot more, fans. So as always, this is Mike Spider Slayer, and guys, I'll see you in the next review. Take care, fans.